Cool. I think we're live. Yeah. Well, Yakup, thanks a lot for taking the time to join with us. Today, we're going to mostly talk about you and your business in the first half, and then we will move on to your automation journey. And then final section of this conversation, we will talk about Muzal AI, what kind of impact it might bring. So let's start with yourself. If you could introduce yourself and your business, that would be great, mate.
Yeah, sure. First of all, thanks for having me. It's also a great opportunity to be on podcasts. I love the podcast medium. I also do podcasts, but more in German language. So my name is Yakup. I'm from Germany, and basically I'm founder of Content AI Tools, and I'm a trainer and a coach. So I'm giving training based on AI topics. So I'm working with with two chamber of commerce in Germany, so the Chamber of Commerce in Düsseldorf and the Chamber of Commerce in Stuttgart, and we are giving certification trainings. And I'm organizing these trainings and basically giving people, employees from all different niches, small, medium enterprises, also sometimes from bigger corporations. But basically, target audience is German people. I'm giving them training on AI, how to use tools like
Wow.
ChatGPT or also your tool, Mazal AI, how to build agents, what are AI agents, a basic infrastructure of automation, so how to start with things, because most people are in the beginner level.
Mm.
ChatGPT started a big journey, but most people are just assigned to ChatGPT, but they are not efficient using it in their daily business day. So I'm there for giving these kind of trainings and helping them to get started the journey and also implementing an AI strategy for the business. So the AI manager certification course is basically to find the not what tool, but how to implement it in an efficient way so that our organization becomes 50% more efficient. That's the way how I see it, how I give the lectures, and the aim of these certification courses. That's in a
I
nutshell.
love that very much. Yeah.
That's in a nutshell how it started. So, and this is sad, but oftentimes the reality that when the environment is super critical, in the business environment where you live and work. If they don't want to use AI, then you have a problem. But I think this changed a lot since ChatGPT, and more business owners are more open to invest in AI, also in training. I think that's a good thing that we need more of, but that's only the starting point.
The workplace doesn't necessarily support, using AI, but by now I would assume that they might already left behind, or they just started to realize that this was the direction that everyone is going in. It's been almost 8, 9 years. What have you found challenging when it comes to AI, when it comes to companies adopting AI in general? What was your experience like? What's I guess, the biggest struggles that people you train or the companies tend to
Yeah,
encounter the most?
yeah. So there are a couple of pitfalls, but one big thing, how I did it wrong, for example. Okay, so
Hmm.
I assumed, hey, I'm going to the CEO and I'm saying, hey, there's AI. And then it should be obvious that we invest in AI, but it was not. So the return on investment thing. So you have to show how much this will cost us and what's the return on investment. So what's the time saved that we will have through the AI system. So that's one of the biggest challenges, because the people who are giving me the budget are very focused on the numbers. So you need to show them when will this be positive cash flow. So after 6 months, after 8 or 12 months. So that I think this is a big issue that people don't think about, like making a pitch internally for the CEO or the CFO to get the budget. That's one thing that most people don't think about. and pretty big challenge. So that's one thing.
Mhm.
Another thing is that they like me, they are in a toxic environment and nobody is interested in AI. So I sometimes also have journalists or editors in my workshops, and so I'm giving different certification trainings. One is more focused on the marketing side, and there oftentimes are journalists, and they see, and I get the argument, they see editing or writing as something magical, okay? Something that you are trained in, and they are a little bit scared about the whole thing. Yeah, yet now I can train a large language model and it can create great articles. So they block AI. They don't want the introduction of AI projects. So what can you
Mhm.
do there? So mainly it is about partnering up with somebody within the company or in another department, and regularly meet each other and speak about how can we start this AI movement inside the company. And that's one thing. And the other thing is that you straight go to the CEO, and it's basically the how is the CEO structured? How is he thinking about AI? Is he positive about AI? Will he give me the budget or not? That's also critical. So these are the two things that I also recommend. And
Mhm.
specifically for Germany, it's also the data privacy thing. So you can't put all information and data on ChatGPT because it's not safe. The servers are in the US, and there are also tools that are GDPR conform, but I don't believe them always, because when I ask, so where is the data stored? Then they say, well, it's in Asia or somewhere else. So that's not how the Germans or German companies want this concept of data privacy. So I think these are the main challenges, but there are also more and more companies that are focused on this topic, where they focus on, they communicate also very proactively where is the data stored and things like that. So I think that there are more and more solutions that can be used to tackle these problems.
100%, 100%. Data sovereignty is definitely a biggest issue, especially when it comes to software companies. And then depending on where the customers are, which countries are you serving at, you have to be diligent about what you're building at. I love your approach when it comes to building a trust and overcoming the challenge around bringing AI to your clients, especially this having a mindset of ROI first. Like, what are you gonna get by bringing this AI tools within your company or your services, and then when it will be, return. That's great. But the next question I wanna ask is around the story with automation in general. You briefly mentioned about, started teaching about AI to the companies, and then also I would assume that you're also using tools like Mozal AI to automate some sort of stuff. And I wanted to know your story with the automation. When did you start with automation in general, and then how AI combining automation with AI is bringing a different challenge and also impact.
Yeah, automation is one great way to, especially when your employees are very critical towards AI. Automation is a great way to show them that they also have the power to choose themselves. So when you use automation tools, then you can show or give them a tool basically to build their own automations, because in most cases it's no code based, so you don't need any coding experience and you can do this through drag and drop. So basically how I started is through my workshop participants, because they asked me about it and I had some experience. I used different tools. I also tested Make, and for me it was the first level. And it became interesting when I integrated also ChatGPT in workflow progress, for example, with Make. So it
Mm.
was like creating. So there's, for example, there's a podcast, the Tony Robbins podcast. Okay, the Tony Robbins podcast I created an RSS feed. So in that moment when the podcast goes live, the RSS feed sends an activation with the show notes of the podcast episode, and then I can say, please create me a LinkedIn post with this tonality. It should be inspiring. And it should be have a call to action to my website for further information. And then taking this information, using a GPT model, and then posting it on LinkedIn. So fully automated. When the Tony Robbins podcast is going live, I'm basically sleeping because it's at 3 it's at 3 a.m. or something. So it's another time where I'm just waiting for the podcast, for the new podcast episode. But you can do such things very easily. And I'm always a big fan of that the human is in the loop for the
Mm.
control. So automation for testing is fine, but I would not automate the whole business page and take the AI over. So I would always, before something goes live to the customer or something, I would always have a human in the loop who controls the things and makes a check before this goes live or goes to the customer. That's my recommendation. But these are the things that I started with. And yeah, and I mean, Masa is also a great way to create these kind of workflows or automations. And you can also build your knowledge base, which is also awesome. So you can upload PDFs or your products or things like that. That's just amazing to, for example, create the tone, the brand tonality. So that's how we communicate with with our customer. You can train these tools and give them examples of previous social media posts. That's just a great way to make things easier and your life easier, especially as marketer.
Yeah, that sounds great. What is you mentioned about Mzala. I was just wondering, what kind of workloads have you created so far? What kind of automation you've been creating
Yeah.
on Mzala AI specifically?
Yeah. So one big thing is the content creation. So I have my certification trainings. I have previous social media posts that I uploaded, and I'm using this as a challenge partner. So how can I create in my voice, in my tonality, and with my personal stories? Yeah. So my personal AI stories that I also showed in this podcast. I have them also in text and give this to Mazal so that I can create my in my voice social media posts for LinkedIn or for other platforms. That's one way that I'm basically using Mazal, but I'm also giving and showing Mazal to my workshop participants. So the people who are participating in the certification trainings as one way how you can build your own agents or your own workforce. That's basically how I'm using Mazal.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, so you're not majority of our customers are simply using it for, transferring data from A to B. Let's
Okay.
say if you have a Gmail, new email, and then register it on Notion database or stuff like that, which is nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's quite simple, but still brings an impact. It's important for your business. And then there are certain people are taking advantage of AI agents specifically because now not only moving data from A to B, you now have somewhere in the middle of that data transferring, you have an AI agent that has a knowledge about your business, whether it's a PDF document like you mentioned, or Word documents, anything, or even a website. It can, at some level, can perform as good as human, but like you mentioned, you always have to check the results. You can't just let it happening end to end. There must be a human in the loop element where at the final stage or so, human needs to go in, jump in there and review the results. And then if everything looks good, then you just give approval, say yes, and then this whole workload will continue, right? At Mazal, I think I'm not sure if you're using it, but we do have a human in the loop element as well, where you can ask an approval process and then let it be your teammates or your colleagues, whoever it is, you can, or even your boss, whoever is relevant, and then they can approve it through the Slack or Gmail, whatever it is, and then the whole workload can continue in there.
Yeah, you can send an email, right? So the human in the loop in the workforce, so that I get an email basically on, for example, the blog article or the social media posts, and I can review it and check it.
Yes. Once you review it, there would be two buttons, yes or no, and then simply if you approve it, click on yes, and then workload will automatically continue. In case it's not, then it will go into Notepad, which is quite simple, but still, I think it's a powerful way to bring the human in the loop. I'm not sure if you managed to measure it, but I was just wondering in terms of the impact and results, if there's any metrics you calculated. Let's say all this, the courses you're teaching without Mazal AI or with Mazal AI, what's the difference might be? How much time you might think you save it with, Mazal AI, or what kind of impact in general it brought to you, if you have any insights
Yes.
with us.
So I think you mentioned this already. So I think there's a huge impact when it comes to democratizing the participants to build their own prototypes. So one big thing in German companies is, so we want to start with AI, but we don't know how. And so the AI manager course is basically for people to pitch their bosses. So they are creating a presentation, they're showing it to me, and I approve it and say yes or no. And then they get their certification. And some people, from 10 people who are participating, 4 or 5 are pitching their CEOs. And one great way to approve an AI project is through a prototype that rudimentary shows what I'm planning. Because
Mm.
PowerPoint is, they see PowerPoint all day long. So it's like I see thousands of presentations, but when I see a demonstration or a prototype, then I know what you mean more exactly, more accurate. So the chances that my AI budget is approved is much higher. So that's a huge thing because I get my budget easier through
Mm.
prototyping with Mazal. I have one client who was in my course, and he said he's a data scientist, by the way. So, and he said, Jakob, I was not aware of all these drag and drop no code applications. I'm speaking with my clients, I'm going to them, and they're very conservative. They don't know about coding and software much. They don't want to be in front of the screen. Okay, they don't like it. And then I'm presenting them a prototype, not perfect, but rudimentary, and they say, yes, I want this. So he's selling much easier through prototyping products on low
Right.
cost. I mean, these prototypes are not perfect, but they are showing, and people are more likely to invest into it when they see it, because they have this feeling it's happening live, and it's like watching ChatGPT. It's when I'm doing my certification trainings, I'm always doing live demonstrations, so to bring the people inside. So the the likelihood that my project is approved is much higher with a prototype with Mazal. So that's a huge thing.
Interesting.
That's a
Mm.
that's a big thing because it makes their job easier. And that's also something that I want in the AI Innovation Manager course. So people are building their own prototypes to show that in their pitching decks, basically.
Right.
So
That's wonderful story. Yeah.
that's one thing. Another thing is, I don't know about Australia, but in Germany we have a shortage of skilled workers. That's an, that's
Yeah.
also a big that's also a big
It's a
thing.
huge issue globally. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay. So we have the baby boomers in Germany, so they are retiring more and more people. So we have more and more people. We have more and more work on the shoulders of fewer people. Okay. So I just repeat it. We have more and more work on the shoulders of fewer people. So we need agents or tools, prototype tools, we like Masal, to build our own agents that help us in a daily business. Because otherwise,
100%. Yeah.
otherwise people will go in depressions and will be sick and things like that. So we really need it, and I think it's a great way to build this with Masal. I also have one big topic in combination with this with the baby boomers. More and more people are retiring, and the knowledge is also gone. So we have
Mhm.
to conserve these knowledge in through uh, knowledge bases. And this can be a chatbot, an internally chatbot. More and more companies are doing this in Germany. So basically, I'm interviewing the retiring people before they retire. Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah.
before they retire, I interview them and press all information out of them through the last 40 years. What topics did you handle? What are your ways of handling this? So I'm transcribing these information. I'm creating FAQs from this interview, and then I'm training my models, my chatbot basically, with this knowledge base, and give this to younger people who are onboarding so that they can
Interesting.
ask questions about this experience. Because when they retire, and this is also happening, they retire and then they get calls. How did you do that? How was this happening? And this is not very smart, in my opinion. So you have to organize this already upfront, and therefore, like in an agent like with Masa is also a great way to do this. So a huge impact. When it comes to quantifying it, that's something that I'm working on, uh, but that's a little bit harder. But I think it's a great way to give people support and assistance on a daily basis, and it will be a huge impact, and it will be the new normal. So I think that's how I see the future. In the future, we will all have our personal agents, like Iron Man is using Jarvis and communicating with
Yes.
Jarvis. This will be super normal, and I see it also in the business context. Instead of hiring people, I first hire agents or build my agents basically before I hire people who are handling day to day stuff. And this is also something that
Yes.
so bigger
Interesting points you
bigger
touched on
companies
there.
bigger companies are already mentioning this. Before you hire a person, a human person, you have to check: can we create an agent for this specific task? And then if the answer is no, then you can hire a person. That's more and more the reality that we having. So I think Masa is a great way to solve all these things and have a huge impact on
I love that.
daily
Yes.
business.
We're definitely looking at the digital impact we're going to bring into life, that we want to essentially change the way people work, and we want to be the go-to platform when it comes to automate agentic workflows. I think we're almost reaching the end of our discussion, but do you have any tips, automation tips for the people who's just getting started in automation in general?
Yeah. So I think uh, you have to start. So it's a good starting point is getting training, getting to workshops. I mean, there are more and more people who are skilled in these areas and can give you a good structured way of learning things. There's also a lot of YouTube videos that you can check. So getting started, and that's the thing with content. Don't consume too much. So getting ahead and uh, watching something is good, but there's more power in actual doing things. So getting rid of the friction and starting. That's one thing. Working on your own skills. I think there's a big, when you look at the Gartner hype cycle, I think there's a lot of things going on with an AI agents. I'm a little bit annoyed about this term because since January, especially in Germany, everything is now an AI agent. There are different ways how to look at this. So there's uh, also AI agents are not perfect, but when you specialize on AI agents, I think um, there's a lot of opportunities in this area. So that would be my recommendation. And getting started and implementing very fast. So agile prototyping, that you think in 3 month or 6 month terms, that you don't focus on 5 or 10 year plans. So getting started within a sprint and do things in 3 months. I think you should focus on these things to get started, because the speed is king in the AI world. You have to implement and execute fast. That's the key, and that would be my recommendation.
That's a great point. So, Jakub, for those who's listening, who might be interested in what you're doing, how can we find you online? What are the links? I can put it down on the descriptions, but if you could tell us verbally, that would be also great.
Yes, so I'm very chatty on LinkedIn. That's basically my main platform. So you just type in my complicated name, or I can send you the link to my LinkedIn profile so that you can
Yeah.
put it into the show notes. So Yakup Özkardes minus Cheong. So I have a double name, and then my website Yakup minus AI.com. That's my website basically. And yeah, so if you have any questions, just let me know. On LinkedIn, you can DM me, and I'm totally okay. Maybe it takes a little bit of time because of the time difference between Germany and Australia, but I will definitely answer your questions if there are any. Thank you. Thanks for having me. It was great.
No, thank you for joining, taking your time to join this session. This has been great. Lots of interesting insights and then lots of interesting things that I heard from you.
Awesome.
Cool. Thank you so much, Jacob. You have a beautiful evening out there.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks a lot. Let's keep in touch and then cheers. Cheers. Bye.